Success is never an accident. It is not the outcome of random events, nor the blessing of mere luck. It is the direct result of specific habits, winning habits, formed deliberately, shaped with purpose, and exercised with persistence. Every successful person you see has risen to their heights because of the rituals they developed, the choices they repeatedly made, and the unbreakable belief that they could mold their reality through the power of habit and intention. The mind is the workshop of transformation. It is where every victory is first conceived. Before gold fills your pockets, wealth must fill your thoughts. Before the applause of achievement, there is the quiet rhythm of preparation. The first winning habit of every successful individual is the daily mastery of their own thoughts. They do not allow their minds to become playgrounds for worry, self-doubt, or fear. Instead, they train their thinking like an athlete trains their body, relentlessly and intentionally. They start each day by choosing the dominant thought that will carry them forward. They speak to themselves with power, not pity. They see opportunities where others see problems, because they have built the habit of seeing themselves not as victims of circumstances, but as creators of circumstance. Another winning habit is clarity of purpose. No one ever arrived at a destination they didn't define. The man who achieves success knows where he is going. He does not drift from day to day, hoping life will reward his indecision. He writes his vision on paper, he sees it with his inner eye, he reviews it every morning and every night until it becomes etched into his very soul. He does not waste energy chasing a dozen dreams. He focuses his entire being on the one great purpose that ignites his passion. Clarity of purpose is not merely a motivational phrase. It is a daily practice of aligning your actions with your ultimate aim. Persistence is the foundation of all progress. Winning habits are not formed in the sunshine of convenience. They are forged in the fire of adversity. When the average man gives up, the man with winning habits digs deeper. He has conditioned his mind to welcome resistance, knowing that resistance builds strength. He does not retreat at the first sign of failure because he understands that failure is only feedback. It is a teacher in disguise. Each setback is seen not as a defeat, but as a necessary rung on the ladder of success. This mindset, practiced daily, becomes an unstoppable habit. Discipline is a non-negotiable element of a winning life. The successful individual does not wait to feel motivated. He acts in the absence of feeling. He rises early when the body screams for more sleep. He reads and studies when others scrawl and gossip. He sacrifices short-term pleasure for long-term gain. He says no to distractions with the same firmness with which he says yes to his vision. This kind of discipline is not natural. It is cultivated. It is developed by repeatedly choosing growth over comfort until the choice becomes automatic. The man who cannot govern himself will always be governed by circumstance. Another critical winning habit is surrounding oneself with powerful associations. You cannot soar like an eagle while surrounded by crows. Your environment is either lifting you or limiting you. Successful people habitually seek the company of those who think bigger, strive harder, and dream bolder. They are not afraid to walk away from mediocrity, even if it wears the face of friendship. They study winners, read biographies, attend seminars, and join masterminds, because they understand that the fastest way to grow is to immerse themselves in the energy of growth. This habit becomes a lifestyle, not a once-in-a-while decision, but a daily devotion to environments that elevate. The habit of definite decision-making is another trait shared by all high achievers. Indecision is a silent killer of dreams. The successful man understands that action breeds clarity. He does not wait for perfect conditions because he knows perfection is an illusion. He studies the facts, trusts his intuition, and makes decisions quickly. He adjusts if necessary, but he never remains paralyzed by uncertainty. Over time, this habit of taking decisive action compounds into confidence, and that confidence becomes the fuel that powers him through doubt. One cannot discuss winning habits without addressing the role of faith. Faith not in blind optimism, but in one's ability to align with universal principles of success. The man who wins believes in the unseen before the world sees it. He carries a calm assurance that what he imagines with clarity and pursues with action will inevitably come to pass. This faith is not a passive hope, but an active force that influences his every choice. It allows him to remain calm in chaos, persistent in trials, and enthusiastic even when results are not yet visible. Faith is a muscle, and like all muscles, it is strengthened through repetition. The habit of believing in the vision, despite temporary appearances, is the hallmark of every great achiever. Time mastery is yet another essential habit. Time, once gone, never returns. The successful man does not allow his minutes to be stolen by trivial tasks or meaningless engagements. He plans his day the night before. He prioritizes the important over the urgent. He guards his mornings with the vigilance of a soldier. He understands that every minute has the potential to be invested or wasted. Through the habit of time investment, he multiplies his productivity and compresses years of growth into months of focused effort. Gratitude is a silent but potent habit of the successful. While the masses complain, the achiever gives thanks. He understands that a grateful mind cannot entertain negativity. He begins and ends each day with appreciation, not just for what he has, but for the challenges that refine him. Gratitude shifts his focus from lack to abundance, from frustration to fulfillment. It raises his vibration and attracts opportunities. It draws people, favor, and ideas toward him. This habit, though subtle, creates a magnetic force that multiplies success. Let us also not forget the habit of continual learning. The successful man is never finished growing. He reads books when others watch television. He studies industries outside his own. He listens more than he speaks, and when he speaks, it is with the weight of wisdom. He treats every experience as a teacher, every failure as a lesson, and every encounter as a doorway to deeper understanding. He invests in his mind as a craftsman invests in his tools, for he knows that the mind, sharpened daily, becomes the greatest instrument of wealth, influence, and legacy. There is also the habit of contribution. Success, when pursued selfishly, leaves a man hollow. But when coupled with service, it becomes deeply fulfilling. The man with winning habits gives more than he takes. He mentors others, gives to causes, uplifts his team, and inspires those who watch him. He understands that wealth multiplies when it flows through you, not just to you. This habit of giving creates a ripple effect that expands his influence and anchors his success in significance. Winning habits do not begin in the moment of victory. They begin in silence, in solitude, in the small decisions no one sees. They are born when you choose focus over distraction, action over hesitation, vision over fear. They are born when you silence the inner critic and move forward anyway. They are born when you get up after failure, speak affirmations when discouraged, and persist when your environment offers no validation. These habits, done daily, shape your character, and your character shapes your destiny. Let this be known. Every man is capable of cultivating winning habits. It is not a gift reserved for the few, but a responsibility available to the willing. No one was born with discipline. No one arrived with a blueprint. They chose, they acted, they stumbled, they continued. And eventually their repeated actions became their new nature. If they did it, so can you. The human will, when backed by a habit of action, becomes a creative force of unmatched power. There are no limitations to what a man can achieve when he has trained his habits to obey his vision. Habit is stronger than desire, for desire is fleeting, but habit endures. When a man develops the habit of taking one step each day toward his goal, no matter how small, that step compounds. Over time, those steps create momentum, and momentum is the silent partner of achievement. One of the most overlooked winning habits is self-talk. The man who wins is a master of the words he speaks to himself. He does not allow his internal dialogue to be hijacked by fear, insecurity, or doubt. He speaks life into his destiny. He calls himself capable before the world agrees. He affirms his strength even in weakness. These words, repeated daily, shape his reality. Thoughts become beliefs. Beliefs become emotions. Emotions become actions. Actions become results. It all begins with how he talks to himself in the quiet moments when no one else is listening. Visualization is another indispensable habit. The achiever sees himself living his dream long before it manifests. He doesn't wait to see it in his bank account or on paper. He sees it first in his mind. He experiences it in advance. He practices success in the mental theater of imagination until it feels familiar, until the universe begins to match what he already accepts as true. Visualization is not daydreaming. It is mental rehearsal. It is creative construction. The man who wins visualizes not only the outcome, but the process. He sees himself taking the calls, enduring the grind, overcoming the resistance. And because he has lived it within, he is prepared when it arrives without. Another habit that separates the extraordinary from the ordinary is taking responsibility. The successful man does not blame, complain, or make excuses. He takes full ownership of his results. He understands that to give away responsibility is to give away power. Even when circumstances seem unfair, he chooses to focus on what he can control. This mindset, when practiced daily, becomes a habit of leadership. It draws others to him. It creates solutions where others see problems. And in time, this habit of ownership positions him as the master of his fate and the captain of his soul. Flexibility in strategy is also a winning habit. The man committed to success does not rigidly cling to methods that no longer work. He adapts. He evolves. He studies the results of his actions and adjusts his approach. He doesn't see change as failure. He sees it as refinement. While his vision remains fixed, his methods are fluid. This ability to adapt is a habit formed through reflection, review, and the courage to pivot. Those who refuse to change eventually become outdated. But those who habitually adjust and optimize remain relevant, powerful, and ahead of the curve. The habit of integrity is a silent engine of sustainable success. The man who wins plays the long game. He does not cut corners, lie, or deceive to get ahead. His word is his bond. His handshake carries weight. He builds trust with every transaction, every promise kept, and every commitment honored. This habit of honesty creates a reputation that opens doors money can't buy. People want to do business with him. They refer him, they vouch for him. His character becomes a magnet for success, and even in a world of shortcuts and schemes, he prospers, because truth is always timeless. One must also practice the habit of emotional mastery. Emotions are powerful servants, but dangerous masters. The successful individual does not let anger, fear, or frustration rule his decisions. He has trained himself to respond rather than react. He takes a pause before he speaks. He breathes before he strikes. He uses his emotions as signals, not as commands. This discipline allows him to lead with wisdom, to influence with calm, and to maintain clarity under pressure. Emotional mastery is not innate. It is learned, and it is learned through daily intention, journaling, meditation, and observation of one's own inner world. The habit of health cannot be ignored. The man who neglects his body will eventually limit his mind. Energy is the fuel of all productivity. Without physical vitality, vision fades. Winning habits include regular exercise, proper nutrition, deep sleep, and periods of rest and recovery. The successful man understands that his body is an instrument of purpose. He treats it with respect. He does not abuse it with junk food, excessive stress, or neglect. He rises early, drinks water, moves daily, and recharges often. These physical habits support his mental clarity, emotional balance, and creative power. Let us also consider the habit of simplicity. Complexity is the enemy of execution. The man who wins trims the fat from his schedule, his priorities, and his projects. He eliminates what does not matter. He says no with grace but with firmness. He does not chase 10 rabbits, he hunts 1 lion. Simplicity creates focus, and focus creates force. It is not what you do occasionally, but what you do consistently that determines your success. By simplifying your efforts around the essential, you amplify your impact. Another essential winning habit is giving value before expecting return. The man destined for greatness enters every room asking, "How can I serve?" He offers solutions before selling. He shares knowledge before requesting compensation. He builds goodwill before asking for favors. This generosity becomes a habit that sets him apart. People remember him, they trust him, they want to work with him, and because the universe rewards value, his income becomes a reflection of his impact. He gives first not because he has to, but because he understands that contribution precedes compensation. A winning habit that magnifies all others is keeping promises to oneself. Every time you tell yourself you'll wake up early and you don't, you weaken your self-esteem. Every time you say you'll start the business, write the book, or hit the gym but delay it, you lose trust with yourself. The successful man understands that confidence is built not through public applause, but through private integrity. He sets targets and hits them. He makes commitments and keeps them. Over time, this habit of self-trust creates a man whose word to himself is law, and that man cannot be stopped. Reading and reflection are companions on the journey of greatness. The habit of consuming high-level knowledge daily sets apart the high performer. He reads not just to escape, but to elevate. He reflects not just on what he's done, but on who he's becoming. He keeps a journal. He reviews his progress. He asks deep questions. Where am I growing? What must I let go of? Who must I become to reach the next level? These reflective habits give depth to his ambition and direction to his power. Let us not forget the habit of courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward in its presence. The man who wins habitually steps into discomfort. He makes the difficult call. He takes the bold risk. He speaks the truth when silence would be easier. He launches the project when perfection is not yet achieved. This daily dance with fear builds a fortress of confidence around him. He becomes the man others look to in uncertain times because he has trained himself to act despite doubt. Another habit that magnetizes success is the habit of gratitude. While the average man waits for something grand to happen before he expresses appreciation, the man who walks in victory is grateful in advance. He gives thanks for every breath, every opportunity, every lesson, and every challenge. Gratitude is his attitude, not just his reaction. He knows that what you appreciate appreciates. By training his mind to find the good in every situation, he shifts his energy from scarcity to abundance. He aligns himself with the frequency of receiving. Doors open more easily for the man whose heart is full of gratitude, not resentment. Persistence, too, must be habitual. The man who reaches the summit does not climb because the path is easy. He climbs because the mission is worth it. He meets resistance not with retreat, but with renewed effort. When others quit, he endures. When doors close, he finds another way. When the applause fades, he keeps building. This daily habit of never giving up forms a character that cannot be broken. Success is not for the most talented. It is for the most persistent. Talent may start the journey, but only habit can finish it. Time management is the invisible architect of every great life. The man who controls his hours controls his future. He does not waste the morning in bed or scroll through life distracted. He protects his time like treasure. Each hour is a seed, and he plants it with precision. He schedules with intention. He prioritizes results over busyness. He uses his mornings for movement, mastery, and mindset. He ends his day with reflection, renewal, and planning. This habit of honoring time compounds like interest, and it purchases him a life that many only dream of. A winning habit found in all high achievers is obsession with excellence. While the masses are content with good enough, the man destined for greatness asks, how can I do this better? He refines, improves, elevates. He takes pride in his work even when no one is watching. He doesn't need validation to pursue excellence. It's who he is. He sweats the details. He polishes his craft. He delivers more than expected. This habit of over-delivering makes him unforgettable. He becomes the standard, not the exception. The habit of contribution must not be underestimated. The truly successful do not live only for themselves. They build, yes, but they also bless. They rise, yes, but they lift others as they do. The man who gives from his abundance multiplies his influence. He sees beyond the mirror and embraces the mission. He shares his wisdom, mentors others, supports causes, and gives back to the soil from which he came. This habit of impact makes his life meaningful. His name becomes a legacy, not just a label. Daily review is a subtle but powerful habit. Each evening the winner looks back. He does not judge, he studies. He asks, what did I learn today? What went well? What could I have done better? He takes the lessons, not the losses. He uses the past to sharpen the future. He ends his day with clarity and begins the next with momentum. This reflection turns days into building blocks. Success is not found in years, it's crafted in the choices of every single day. Another powerful habit is alignment with purpose. The man who succeeds does not just chase money, applause, or comfort. He is driven by mission. He has discovered why he is here, and he lives in agreement with that reason. His goals are not random, they are rooted. His energy is not scattered, it is directed. He wakes up with meaning, he works with fire, he rests with peace. This daily habit of aligning his actions with his purpose makes his purpose unstoppable and his joy indestructible. The habit of building relationships cannot be ignored. No man succeeds alone. The winning man understands the power of connection. He nurtures relationships not only when he needs something, but as a way of life. He listens deeply, shows appreciation, and adds value. He remembers names, he congratulates wins, he comforts and losses. He surrounds himself with those who sharpen him and invests in those he can sharpen. His network becomes his net worth, not in dollars, but in influence, opportunity, and shared strength. Curiosity is another habit that keeps success fresh and alive. The man who wins is always learning, always exploring. He reads widely, asks questions, seeks out new skills. He does not rest on what he knows. He is hungry for more. This habit of curiosity keeps him relevant, adaptable, and innovative. While others become stagnant, he evolves. While others fear change, he leverages it. His curiosity turns obstacles into opportunities and detours into discoveries. The habit of positive expectation must also be cultivated. The man who rises does not expect the worst. He prepares for the best. He walks into rooms believing good is coming. He approaches challenges expecting a way will be made. He lives not in fear, but in faith. This attitude is not naive, it is powerful. Expectation draws in opportunity. Optimism multiplies influence. A man with a positive expectation becomes a magnet for success because he sees solutions where others see problems. Let us now look at the habit of decision. Indecision is the graveyard of potential. The man who wins trains himself to decide with confidence. He does not delay, overthink, or wait for perfect conditions. He knows that progress is made by those who choose, act, and adjust. He makes decisions from his vision, not his emotions, and because he decides habitually, he moves quickly, learns fast, and stays ahead. Every day offers dozens of chances to decide, and each one, when seized with courage, creates forward motion. One more habit that amplifies success is humility. While the world celebrates arrogance, the truly successful man walks in quiet confidence. He listens more than he speaks. He admits when he's wrong. He remains teachable no matter how high he rises. He does not need to prove himself. He focuses on improving himself. This humility becomes a strength. It draws wise counsel, earns respect, and keeps him from the pride that precedes a fall. He is grounded, and because of this, he keeps growing. The habit of finishing what you start cannot be overstated. Starting is common. Finishing is rare. The man who finishes is the one who keeps his word, keeps his focus, and keeps showing up. He does not allow delay, distraction, or doubt to derail him. He builds the muscle of completion. Whether it's a book, a workout, a business plan, or a difficult conversation, he follows through. And because he finishes, the world learns to count on him. He becomes the one who delivers, the one who completes, the one who fulfills. There comes a point in every man's journey where he must form the habit of inner silence. For it is in the silence that ideas are born, visions are clarified, and decisions are purified. The man who rushes without reflection lives by impulse, but the man who sits quietly with himself learns to hear the whisper of wisdom. He finds answers not in noise, but in stillness. He listens to intuition. He consults the depths of his being. This habit of intentional solitude keeps him centered while others are scattered, focused while others are frantic. Another winning habit is visualization. Long before a thing becomes real in the outer world, it must be constructed vividly in the inner world. The man who succeeds builds in his mind the life he wishes to live. He sees the result before the work begins. He imagines the victory, the conversation, the success, until it feels as familiar as the ground he walks on. Visualization is not mere daydreaming. It is mental conditioning. It aligns his subconscious with his desire. It programs his focus. It trains his actions. What the mind can see clearly, the man can pursue boldly. Discipline is the invisible hand that shapes dreams into reality. The successful man does not operate based on feeling. He lives by principles. He wakes up when the alarm rings, whether he feels like it or not. He writes, reads, exercises, studies, not when it's convenient, but because it is necessary. He does not wait to be in the mood. He acts, and the mood follows. Discipline is his shield against temptation, laziness, and excuses. It gives him mastery over himself. And the man who masters himself will eventually master his environment. Another foundational habit is emotional regulation. The man who reacts is ruled by others. The man who responds is ruled by his values. Winning men do not explode in anger or collapse in despair. They have trained their minds to stay composed under pressure. They do not waste energy on offense, jealousy, or petty conflict. Instead, they redirect those energies toward creation, strategy, and forward motion. This habit of self-restraint allows him to stay focused when others get distracted, to think clearly when others panic, to lead when others follow chaos. Energy management is a habit few discuss, but all winners practice. The man who accomplishes much knows that energy, not time, is his greatest asset. He guards it fiercely. He eats to fuel his mission. He exercises to sharpen his edge. He sleeps not as a luxury, but as preparation. He avoids people who drain, environments that deplete, and habits that numb. He knows when to push and when to recover. And because he manages his energy, he is able to sustain output that would exhaust lesser men. He does not burn out. He burns bright. Another potent habit is the habit of saying no. Success is often found not in what we say yes to, but in what we refuse. The man who moves forward knows his vision, and anything that does not align with it is declined. He does not people please. He does not chase every opportunity or respond to every call. He guards his time, his focus, his peace. Every no he speaks is a yes to something greater. And this refusal is not rejection, it is redirection. The ability to say no is not harshness, it is clarity. Clarity itself is a habit. While the masses live vaguely, wishing for more or better, the winner defines his terms. He knows what success looks like to him. He sets specific goals. He tracks his progress. He defines his values and refuses to violate them. He doesn't drift. He drives. This clarity cuts through confusion. It prevents detours. It makes decisions easier. With clarity comes conviction. And with conviction, action becomes effortless. Risk-taking is another habit that champions carry within their mindset. The man who always plays it safe stays small, but the man who wins is willing to leap. He knows that fear is the border of growth. He feels the fear and moves forward anyway. He does not gamble recklessly, but he does act boldly. He understands that success lives outside the comfort zone, and because he has trained himself to act despite uncertainty, he discovers treasures others never touch. His life is rich, not only in results, but in adventure. Adaptability must also be made a habit. The road to success is never straight. Plans shift, circumstances change, and challenges arise. The man who resists change is broken by it, but the man who adapts uses it. He bends without breaking. He flows around the obstacles. He reinvents, recalibrates, refocuses. He is not attached to method. He is committed to outcome. This flexibility makes him unstoppable. He does not collapse when the plan fails. He creates a better one. And let us not overlook the habit of faith, not merely religious faith, but faith in possibility, in the unseen, and the yet to be. The man who wins walks by vision, not by visible proof. He believes deeply in his ability to grow, his purpose, and the laws of the universe that reward action, belief, and persistence. He acts as though the result is guaranteed, not by arrogance, but by alignment. His faith becomes his fuel. Doubt may visit, but it does not stay. He chooses faith again and again, and faith responds. Forgiveness is a habit that liberates the mind. The man who holds grudges carries invisible chains. Resentment clouds judgment. Bitterness poisons progress. The successful man understands this and lets go. He forgives not to excuse others, but to free himself. He understands that to carry pain forward is to multiply it. He releases offense, betrayal, disappointment, not because he forgets, but because he chooses freedom over bondage. Forgiveness becomes his strength, not his weakness. The habit of helping others is a thread running through every lasting success. The man who wins understands that giving is part of growth. He does not hoard his blessings. He multiplies them. He mentors, he serves, he uplifts. He does not wait until he is rich to give. He gives now from where he is. And because he gives, he receives. His name is spoken in rooms he has not entered. His favor increases. His impact echoes beyond himself. He becomes not just a success, but a force for good. Equally important is the habit of asking better questions. The average mind asks, why me? Or what if I fail? The winning mind asks, what is the opportunity here? What can I learn? How can I turn this around? Questions shape thoughts. Thoughts shape outcomes. The man who trains his mind to ask empowering questions trains his life to move toward empowering outcomes. He does not dwell on problems. He explores solutions. He does not complain. He inquires, and through inquiry, he discovers insights that change everything. The habit of honesty cannot be ignored. The man who wins does not build his life on lies. He speaks truth even when it costs him. He owns his mistakes. He keeps his word. He walks in integrity. And because of this, people trust him. Doors open to him. Opportunities gravitate toward him. His character becomes a lighthouse. He does not chase, he attracts. Honesty is not just about being truthful with others. It's about being truthful with yourself, about what you want, what you fear, what you must change. This self-honesty is the seed of transformation. Momentum is a habit. Once built, it becomes a current that carries a man faster than he could run alone. But momentum requires consistency. The man who wins shows up daily. He doesn't just act when motivated. He acts by habit. Each step he takes builds upon the last. Each day builds into the next, and eventually effort becomes ease. Progress becomes automatic. Success becomes inevitable. Not by miracle, but by motion. The man destined for success develops the habit of initiative. He does not wait for permission, nor does he require applause. He sees what must be done and steps forward. Initiative is the spark that ignites progress. It is the habit of movement without being asked, of solving problems before they are assigned, of leading where others hesitate. While most stand still in indecision, the man of initiative walks into the unknown and claims his prize. He does not hope for opportunity. He creates it. He does not fear responsibility. He welcomes it. Linked closely to initiative is the habit of ownership. A successful man takes full ownership of his actions, his results, and his future. He does not blame the economy, the government, or his past. He says, if it is to be, it is up to me. He understands that no external condition has the power to imprison him unless he grants it access. His habit of ownership empowers him to make decisions swiftly and change course when needed. He sees every failure as a teacher, not a curse. He gathers the lesson and moves forward stronger than before. The winning man forms the habit of thinking in terms of value, not cost. Where others ask, how much will this take from me? He asks, what return will this bring me? He sees time as an investment. He sees energy as capital. He sees money as a tool, not a trophy. His mind is trained to seek value. Value in relationships, in knowledge, in service. And because he gives more value than he receives, the world opens itself to him. He becomes indispensable. He becomes magnetic. Another critical habit is the daily refining of purpose. The man who wins visits his purpose as a sailor checks the compass. He asks, why am I doing this? Who is this for? Where is this leading me? Without purpose, ambition is blind. With purpose, ambition is guided by principle. The habit of purpose protects the man from detours, distractions, and empty victories. It reminds him of who he is and why he must persist. It whispers to him when the crowd forgets him. It fuels him when the applause is faded. Purpose becomes his internal fire. The habit of gratitude builds within the successful man an attitude of abundance. Where others see lack, he sees provision. Where others complain, he gives thanks. Gratitude shifts his focus from what is missing to what is possible. It multiplies joy. It neutralizes fear. It transforms ordinary moments into sacred ground. And because he is grateful, he sees more to be grateful for. This habit alone separates the discontented from the fulfilled. Gratitude is not weakness. It is strength refined by perspective. A man of winning habits also cultivates the habit of seeking feedback. He is not fragile to correction. He understands that growth demands reflection. When he receives criticism, he listens not for insult, but for instruction. He seeks out mentors, peers, even opponents, not to be validated, but to be sharpened. He views every conversation as a mirror. He does not flinch from truth because he knows that only the honest man improves. Feedback becomes his secret weapon. It exposes his blind spots, unlocks his potential, and propels him forward with greater wisdom. Persistence is the drumbeat of the man who refuses to quit. The world may push against him. Time may stretch long before rewards appear, but he is immovable. He rises after failure. He speaks after silence. He plants again after harvests die. Persistence is not stubbornness. It is allegiance to vision. It is the daily decision to believe, act, and endure. While others drop their tools and walk away, the persistent man sharpens his blade and tries again. And because of this, time bends in his favor. The man who wins makes a habit of strategic relationships. He surrounds himself with people of vision, people of fire, people of integrity. He does not allow his inner circle to be contaminated by gossip, negativity, or mediocrity. He knows that proximity is power. If he spends time with the wise, he becomes wise. If he walks with the strong, he becomes stronger. He chooses mentors who stretch him, peers who sharpen him, and protégés he can pour into. His relationships are not accidents. They are assets. Courage is not an occasional act. It is a cultivated habit. The successful man trains his heart to move toward discomfort. He does the thing he fears, speaks the truth no one else will say, and steps onto stages where doubt tries to silence him. He knows that every act of courage strengthens his soul. He knows that fear is a liar and courage is a revealer. He practices bravery in small moments so that in great trials it flows from him like a river. Courage becomes the fabric of his character. A winning man also develops the habit of reading. He feeds his mind as faithfully as he feeds his body. He knows that one idea, one sentence, one book could change the trajectory of his life. He does not consume information aimlessly. He reads with purpose. He highlights, he applies, he shares. He understands that leaders are readers. And with every page turned, he grows in wisdom, strategy, and inner wealth. Books are his mentors. Knowledge is his arsenal. Decision-making is a habit, and indecision is its opposite. The successful man does not waver endlessly. He gathers the facts, consults his principles, listens to his intuition, and then moves forward. He does not fear being wrong. He fears wasting time. Even when he stumbles forward. Each decision becomes a brick in the foundation of his future. Indecision is paralysis. Decision is power. The man who chooses quickly lives decisively. And that decisiveness is what others follow, respect, and reward. Focus is a sacred habit. In a world screaming for attention, the man who wins trains his eyes to remain fixed. He guards his day, he protects his hours, he eliminates distractions, not just from his devices, but from his desires. He does not chase 10 things at once. He conquers one thing at a time. And because he finishes what he starts, his work compounds. Focus is his multiplier. In 1 hour of deep focus, he accomplishes what others scatter across days. He is a force, not because he works harder, but because he works deeper. Even the habit of speaking is cultivated with intention. A man of success speaks with clarity, confidence, and conviction. His words are not cheap, they are deliberate. He understands the power of speech to inspire, to influence, to ignite. He does not speak to be heard, he speaks to make an impact. He practices silence when silence is wiser. He speaks life where others speak doubt. His tongue becomes a tool of transformation. Words are no longer random. They are strategic seeds. Finally, the winning man forms the habit of finishing. Ideas are abundant. Starters are everywhere. But finishers are few. The man who finishes separates himself from the masses. He pushes through boredom. He presses through resistance. He overcomes procrastination not by wishing it away, but by acting anyway. He keeps his word, not just to others, but to himself. Each project completed becomes evidence of his integrity. And the man who finishes consistently will always be in demand. The man who attracts success does not wait until he feels like it. He has trained his emotions to serve him, not sabotage him. His habits are stronger than his moods. He does not consult his feelings when discipline is required. He acts because action aligns with his identity. He knows the body will follow where the mind leads, and the mind will submit where spirit governs. The mood may vary, but his mission does not. He shows up when it rains, when it's dark, when no one claps, because he knows that greatness is not born in convenience. It is forged in commitment. The man who walks in success builds the habit of silence and solitude. In a noisy world that constantly demands reaction, he retreats inward to reflect. He listens to the whispers that can't be heard in chaos. He knows that clarity comes not in the roar, but in the stillness. In solitude, he examines his thoughts, corrects his motives, and connects to the deeper voice within. He emerges not with noise, but with direction. He has answers others miss because he listens longer than they speak. The habit of honoring time is sacred to him. He views every second as a resource, not to be wasted, but to be invested. He does not scroll aimlessly, wander purposelessly, or say yes out of guilt. He guards his schedule as a steward guards treasure. He knows that success is the compounded result of what one does every hour, not just once a year. Time once gone never returns. And because he treats it as gold, it multiplies in his hand. He builds the habit of keeping promises, especially to himself. When he says he will do something, he follows through. His word is not an option, it is law. This creates an unshakable self-respect, and that respect becomes the foundation of all other relationships. He does not break commitments when convenient. He honors them because it is who he is, and over time the world sees him as trustworthy because he first trusted himself enough to act in alignment with his principles. The man of success practices the habit of intention. He does not move through life randomly, reactively, or recklessly. He chooses his actions. He aligns his efforts with a definite major purpose. Each day begins with direction, not distraction. His mind is not scattered, it is focused. He does not drift with the wind, he commands the sail. And with every step he walks in the direction of his destiny, not by chance, but by choice. He builds the habit of generosity, not just in finance, but in spirit. He gives without manipulation. He uplifts without expectation. His presence is a gift to others because he has chosen to become a well of abundance. He shares ideas. He opens doors. He serves not to look good, but because it is good. And because he gives freely, the universe opens its hands and pours back into him with increase. He lives in overflow because he first gave from what he had. The habit of emotional mastery sets him apart. He does not lash out when anger arises. He does not retreat when fear knocks. He does not crumble when anxiety visits. He acknowledges emotion but does not obey it. He speaks to it, leads it, transforms it. Emotions become tools, not tyrants. And because he has mastered his inner state, no external storm can sink his ship. He is calm in crisis. He is joyful in trial. He is anchored when others are adrift. He adopts the habit of seeing opportunity in adversity. Challenges do not discourage him, they excite him. Setbacks do not destroy him, they instruct him. While others see obstacles, he sees openings. While others curse the detour, he searches for the discovery. His mind is trained to bend every negative into a path for progress. And because he interprets reality through the lens of possibility, his life becomes a story of continual elevation. The man who wins forms the habit of responsibility. He does not run from the weight of leadership, he runs to it. He does not fear being held accountable, he embraces it. He understands that with every blessing comes burden, with every elevation comes expectation, and he meets it head on. He carries the vision, the people, the pressure. He is not crushed by it, he is carved by it. And because he refuses to flee from responsibility, greater power is entrusted to him. The habit of daily self-renewal is part of his foundation. He does not allow burnout to dictate his output. He prioritizes rest, reflection, replenishment. He sharpens the saw before cutting the tree. He knows that a drained vessel cannot pour. So he invests in his body with movement, in his mind with knowledge, and in his spirit with stillness. He practices balance, not as an excuse to coast, but as a strategy for sustainability. He endures not by pushing endlessly, but by resting wisely. He also develops the habit of envisioning. Every day he closes his eyes and sees his success in vivid color. He doesn't merely hope for it, he experiences it before it arrives. He smells the room he will one day stand in. He hears the applause before it ever happens. He feels the peace of a future already written in the ink of discipline. He trains his subconscious with images of triumph, and the mind, instructed by vision, begins to magnetize the steps to make it real. The habit of faith strengthens him, not just faith in the unseen world, but faith in the unseen outcome of his labor. He works when the result is invisible. He gives when the harvest is uncertain. He builds when the blueprint looks impossible. Because he has faith in himself, in his calling, in the law of cause and effect, faith fuels his feet when facts are not favorable. Faith whispers, keep going, when reason says, give up. Faith makes the impossible bend to the will of the committed. And finally, he forms the habit of rising again. No matter how many times life throws him down, he gets back up. He does not stay in failure. He does not wallow in pity. He does not rehearse the pain. He rebuilds, he refocuses, he reinvents. Because success does not come to the man who never falls. It comes to the man who never stays down. He becomes unstoppable not because of perfection, but because of perseverance. He is the man who endures, adapts, evolves. And now, as you stand at the crossroads of who you are and who you are becoming, understand this. Success is not a mystery, it is a method. It is not a lottery ticket drawn in luck, but a discipline lived in faith. Every habit you build today is a brick in the mansion of your tomorrow. Every decision you make now carves the path that your future will walk upon. You are the architect. You are the sculptor. You are the master of your fate because you are the master of your mind. Do not wait for conditions to be perfect. They never will be. Do not wait for the crowd to cheer. They rarely do. Do not wait for fear to disappear. It only fades when you move forward in spite of it. Start where you are. Use what you have. Build what you envision. The world bows to the man or woman who refuses to be average, who cultivates uncommon habits, and who dares to act with unwavering intention. What you seek is already within your reach, if you are willing to become the person worthy of receiving it. So rise, speak your destiny into the world, take command of your daily rituals, govern your thoughts, discipline your actions, and above all, do not negotiate with the man or woman you used to be. You have outgrown the ordinary. You are called to the exceptional. Step boldly, live decisively, and let your winning habits declare your success before you ever speak a word.